Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on the role of students in school safety efforts, which includes security, emergency management, and preparedness activities. This event is a part of the REMS TA Center's role-based webinar series, through which we've been exploring the roles of unique community members within schools and school districts and how they can contribute to a safe and supportive learning environment all year round. My name is Janelle Hughes, and I serve as the project director here at the REMS TA Center. As with all of our webinars in this series and beyond, there are a few tips for engaging with the platform and us throughout the event. We've placed some links to relevant resources in the Files pod. Please explore and feel free to share them with your colleagues. We also welcome you to pose any questions throughout the event using our Q&A pod. You can also use the Q&A pod to communicate any technical difficulties that you experience during the event. We will answer questions during a Q&A session following the presentation and as time permits. After the live event, please feel free to send the REMS TA Center any questions via our help desk. You can email us at info@remstacenter.org. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available in archived form on our site within 7 business days after the live event. I am so happy to introduce our guest speakers for today. Susan Graves has been the safety coordinator for Oregon's Lincoln County School District since 2001. She has also served as a consultant for the U.S. Department of Education for the past 15 years. Ms. Graves is a nationally recognized subject matter expert in K-12 school safety, security, and emergency management, in earthquake and tsunami preparedness, and in the Teen Community Emergency Response Team Program, or Teen CERT, a semester course equipping high school students to be school emergency responders during disasters, which we are so excited to talk more about today. Ms. Graves holds a Master of Arts in Security Studies from the Naval Postgraduate School Center for Homeland Defense and Security. Ms. Graves serves on a variety of state and local committees, including her State Governor's Task Force on School Safety. We are also happy to be joined by Allison Tolan, who is a rising high school senior at Taft High School within the Lincoln County School District. And she has participated in her school's Teen CERT program, and we're so excited to hear about her experiences today as well. Let's get started with the first poll question for today's event. Can you tell us how you are integrating students into your school safety efforts? Feel free to type your answers into the poll field. And I see we have some responses coming in. So you're integrating students via drills, school safety campaigns, student advisory committees within each building, tip lines, awesome, providing feedback on drills. I see school safety clubs, the Alice Align practice drills, and the See Something, Say Something drills as well. I see someone else has added that they have students engage in tabletop exercises, discussions, drills, and presentations, talking to them about being on the safety team. Again, another student advisory committee. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. And as you all can see, there are a variety of ways to integrate students into school safety efforts. So we're going to dive a little deeper with the next poll question. Are your student-focused programs integrated into the school curriculum or offered as extracurricular activities, or perhaps both? Feel free to add your responses via the poll. And I see we're having some responses come in, and it looks like right now a majority of you are integrating students into extracurricular activities. And we're just about at an even split in looking at integration into curriculum as well as both curriculum and extracurricular activities. Thank you so much, everyone, for responding. And the program that we'll be featuring today from the Lincoln County School District, this program is actually integrated into their curriculum. So we look forward to getting into that discussion today, again, about all of the variety of ways that you can involve students before, during, and after emergencies. And we'll outline the value of engaging students in school safety efforts and also offer some actionable strategies for doing so. Before we dive into how to integrate students into school safety, I want to provide a few reasons why it's important to engage students at all. Students comprise a large portion of the school community and are directly affected by school safety policies and procedures. They offer unique insight from their experiences. Students participate in a variety of activities, both on and off campus, and those that take place before, during, and after school hours. They can play a role in helping schools prepare for emergencies that happen within all settings and all times, including, as some of you just responded, via those extracurricular activities, but also during school hours. Students are positioned to communicate with and influence their peers. I think this might be one of the most important points. Involving students in school safety efforts can help improve broader student awareness of preparedness topics, help garner buy-in into school safety policies and procedures among other students, and influence more students to just get involved. Students can also communicate about school safety topics with their families, and in turn, improving the preparedness of the whole school community. So we're going to discuss 3 sets of approaches for integrating students into school safety efforts today, those that can be carried out before, during, and after an emergency. First, there are many ways that schools can proactively engage students in school safety efforts and in preparing for a potential emergency. These are opportunities for students to learn valuable emergency preparedness skills and, in some cases, gain leadership experience, provide their input into programs and policies, assist adults with ongoing safety initiatives, and connect with their peers on issues related to school safety. So a few tips that we want to offer for before an emergency include integrating youth preparedness initiatives into educational activities. For example, the Teen CERT team, or a youth preparedness council, or a student ambassador program, as some of you shared. This also includes training students on those school emergency operations plans and how to respond during different emergencies. School beautification projects that enhance school safety are another way to involve students before an emergency. For example, projects that are based on principles of crime prevention through environmental design. You can also offer students leadership roles in school-wide prevention programs. For example, playing a role in suicide, bullying, violence, or substance use prevention programs. Students can also be consulted to help organize public awareness campaigns for issues affecting the whole school community. They can assist with and promote the use of anonymous reporting systems, such as tip lines, again, which many of you shared via the poll. You can also get their support with inventory and raising funds for first aid supplies and those classroom-based emergency go kits. Students have a lot of skills. Consult them to create materials that would be helpful in an emergency, such as developing traffic control signs or posters to help with family reunification. And lastly, students can help alert staff to some of their concerning safety issues. Again, they have a unique set of knowledge and insight into what's happening among their peers. Engaging students during emergencies may help reduce feelings of helplessness and empower students to take specific actions to support the school community. The following activities can be carried out during an emergency by students who have been properly trained, are being supervised, and most importantly, who have parental consent. During an emergency, students can provide directed on-site assistance as appropriate before first responders arrived. For example, they can assist in setting up different areas such as the medical triage, command post, and the family reunification site. Students who are properly trained can also deliver basic first aid, and we'll hear a little bit more about that later when we turn things to Sue and Allison, and they share details about some of the skills that students are taught via the Teen CERT program that has been integrated within their school district. Students can also serve as a liaison between students, staff, family, and incident command positions during an emergency. They can document decisions made by the incident commander, serve as quote-unquote runners during family reunification between the student assembly area, for example, and the family check-in and verification area. They can also assist the liaison officer with directing response agencies to additional resources and information. And lastly, during an emergency, students can also assist staff with crowd control. They can assist teachers with student accountability procedures, so helping to support efforts to account for all persons. And they can relay appropriate and accurate information to parents, caregivers, and siblings, again, while thinking about the family reunification process. Okay, now let's look at after an emergency. Students can help with certain recovery efforts after an emergency as well, playing a role in restoring the school environment and returning the school community to a sense of normalcy. As with other activities, students should be engaged when appropriate, when they have parental consent, and under the supervision of staff. Some actions students can take following an emergency are assist with damage assessments once the area is deemed safe. They can promote wellness and stress management programs among their peers. Students can also disseminate information to peers and families on common traumatic stress responses among students at school and at home. Engage students in activities to repair infrastructure, such as woodshop classes to build a new book or trophy case, or replanting damaged landscaping, for example. Give students a leadership role in campus beautification projects, and engage community groups in securing donations for repairs. So as you can see, there are a variety of unique ways to involve students, and these are just some of the examples. I know that some of you may have other examples of ways that you are involving students, but we're so excited to turn things now to Sue Graves so that she can share details about the Teen CERT program that her school district integrated into their curriculum.
Thank you so much, Sue, for joining us today. We are so excited to learn more about the Teen CERT program and how you've integrated it into your school district's curriculum. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your role within the Lincoln County School District?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me today. So yeah, my name is Sue Graves, and I have been working at Lincoln County School District, which is on the beautiful Oregon coast, for the past 22 years as their safety coordinator. And so I do all kinds of emergency planning and preparing our schools for all kinds of hazards and threats that we may be susceptible to. And so one of the many different hazards and threats that we address is our earthquake and tsunami hazard. And we do that through the Teen CERT program. And you'll learn more about the Teen CERT program, but it actually ends up addressing a lot of other hazards and threats also.
Well, thank you again for joining us. We're so lucky to have you as a partner in our school safety efforts. Can you tell us, what is the goal of the Teen CERT program?
We have a semester-long course that we call Teen CERT, and our goal is to equip the students who take that course with knowledge, with decision-making skills, and very particular hands-on skills so that they can safely help others at school when there's a catastrophic disaster. Because in those times, the professional responders are not going to be available to come to the school to provide that normal emergency response. So we need to build that capacity in our schools to do it ourselves. And so in this full semester long course, the students learn about the hazards that affect our area. They get CPR, AED, first aid certified. They learn about disaster medical operations and how that's different from typical CPR. Search and rescue, how to size up a situation for safety, and then how to mitigate various hazards, such as putting out small fires with fire extinguishers or turning off the gas. So we really just want to equip these students with the knowledge, decision-making skills, and the hands-on skills so that they can help be part of our emergency response team at school if a catastrophic disaster happens while we're there.
What prompted your school district to integrate Team CERT into the curriculum?
As we were meeting with our community partners, fire, police, ambulance company, and many others, and discussing the big hazard we have of a large Cascadia subduction zone earthquake and resulting tsunami, our partners really were telling us, Sue, we're not going to be able to come to the school and help you if this big earthquake happens when school is in session. We're just going to be overwhelmed with the needs. The roads are not going to be passable. We won't have the capacity to come and help your students and staff. So you need to gain capacity from within your schools to do those immediate rescue activities yourselves. And so they said, Sue, you have capable people if you provide the training, and those are your high school students, those are your teenagers. They can do these kinds of rescues if you provide the training. And so then we looked into different opportunities, and Team CERT really came up as something that we could feasibly do in our schools to train our students and build that capacity from within.
And can you describe a typical lesson?
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll introduce a concept. For example, if there's a small fire, so a light fire suppression would be the concept, and teach about fire chemistry, basic fire safety, different kinds of fire extinguishers and how to use it. And then we do related activities and practice. And so there might be a scavenger hunt where we send students with a campus floor plan around the school, and they have to find all the fire extinguishers in the common areas and then mark on the map where they are and what kind of fire extinguisher they are, where the fire pull stations are. And then we actually give them practice working together as buddies, as teams of two, in putting out a small fire. We do that first without live fire, with just a bucket with red cellophane in it, where they practice going to the fire and doing the various commands that they learn and putting it out using a fire extinguisher. And then the fire department actually does live fire extinguisher training with them. So there's kind of a progression of introducing the concept, doing related activities and practice. They work together as a team using the buddy system. And then there's some kind of a knowledge check where either there's a quiz or they then do a teach back to the rest of the class or a demonstration. Some of our teachers will actually have them put together a short video giving part of a light fire suppression lesson for the rest of the class. And then we do what's called a skills certification, where they work as buddies and they have to demonstrate their proficiency in putting out a small fire. So it's kind of a whole progression so that they can not only have the knowledge about fires and fire safety and fire extinguishers, but they learn the hands-on skills and it becomes muscle memory for them.
Wow. So it sounds like you use a very layered approach that allows them to develop some hard and soft skills. And you mentioned the fire department. Do you partner with any other external entities to carry out the program?
We do. We have several partners who are subject matter experts that we bring in as guest speakers for different parts of the course. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to say that we have our course, one of our licensed teachers who is a teacher at the school, they are the teacher for this course day in and day out. And so they're the Team CERT teacher. And then when they bring in the guest speakers, they're they're adding to what they're already getting from their teachers. So like we'll bring in the county emergency manager, they'll teach about the earthquake and tsunami risk to our area. We'll bring in the Oregon Department of Forestry, they'll do a lesson on wildfires, which is another one of our hazards. We'll bring in our school district nurse team, and they'll actually teach the CPR, AED, and first aid portion of the course because they are certified and then can actually issue the cards to the students and they get certified in those things. The fire department comes in, like I said, for the light fire suppression and the live fire training. And then for that final exercise, we do a disaster simulation exercise. We'll bring in our local fire department partners, and the adult CERT teams from the community will come in and also help us with that final disaster simulation exercise at the end of the semester.
And did you have to engage in the signing or the creation of a memoranda of understanding or agreement with those partners in order to integrate their involvement, and kind of how did that process work?
We do not have any written agreements with them. We have great partnerships with them already. And we're a countywide district, so we actually have 8 different fire departments covering our schools. And so each of our schools has a little bit of different group of people who come in as guest speakers. We are not dependent on the guest speakers for any part of our course. That's done by our licensed teachers. So if in one particular semester we're not able to get the Oregon Department of Forestry because they're out busy fighting wildfires and they're not available, our teacher then teaches that part of the unit. So the only thing that we are completely dependent on from a community partner is to do the live fire extinguisher training, because we won't do live fire at our schools without them for all the safety reasons that you can imagine. But we do all of the prep work and the lessons for that on our own in the classroom whenever we need to. So it was just this last year that we started adding the CPR, AED, and first aid certification for our Teen CERT students. That typically is not part of a CERT program, because in a disaster, you're not going to do CPR because you won't have ambulances and hospitals available, that kind of thing. The CERT program has what's called disaster medical. We decided to add that this last year because we felt that it really added value to our students, so that they're not only getting these skills for a disaster, but they're getting additional skills, CPR, AED, and standard first aid, for normal everyday life emergencies that occur. And they were very happy, and the teachers were also, that we were able to add that to our curriculum. One of the things that we did this last year to address some challenges we were having with our Teen CERT course is we ended up moving away from using the entire FEMA CERT manual for our course. It just had a lot of things in it that were more community-based and less school-based, and we were having a hard time fitting the entire curriculum into our semester course in a way that still allowed us to have the students really gain proficiency at these essential skills that we wanted them to come away with from the Teen CERT course. So we made our own student manual this last year, and it really turned out great because it takes the students through this visually appealing for teen students manual that takes them through the whole curriculum in a way that they can really see it and know this is what we're expecting of you to learn. It goes through and it talks about the essential skills and what each piece of those are, what the course looks like. And it also couples as a PowerPoint for the teacher, and it shows them, this is where you're going next. This is where you're going next. These are the things your students have to learn. And then the teachers also will use the actual FEMA CERT instructor manual to supplement the content of what they're teaching in the course. But the manual goes through and it has the course overview and the different sections of the course. And then for each unit, it provides some great illustrations, the goals of that unit, the things that they really need to learn in the unit. And it just walks them through this whole course. It's where they're learning this content and learning these practical skills, and then they can refer back to it. So it's turned into a really good piece, we might make a few little adjustments on it this summer as before we put it back into place this next school year. But it worked really good for us throughout the course of the year.
We are so excited to be joined today by our partners from the Lincoln County School District, including one of their students, Allison Tolan. Welcome, Allison. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm an incoming senior at Taft High School, and I am a 3-sport athlete. I play volleyball, basketball, and I decided to try out golf. My favorite subject in high school would have to be English because I love writing, and I love hanging out with friends and watching movies on Netflix.
Wow, it sounds like you are a very busy and well-rounded student. I must ask, what prompted your interest in taking the Teen CERT course offered by your school district?
So last year in school, I got super ahead in my studies, and I was looking for a first period for this past school year. And my friend Miranda was in the CERT class, and she told me about how they were going to be learning how to help people in emergencies, how to prepare yourself for emergencies. And that just has always sparked my interest because I just love learning how to help out people and to prepare myself. So that sparked my interest in joining the class.
Awesome. It's always great to hear when you've been motivated by one of your fellow students. And tell us about some of the skills and knowledge you have gained as a result of taking the course.
So I have learned how to treat 3 pillars, and I've learned how to give CPR and how to use a fire extinguisher. And I would probably say my favorite thing to learn was how to give CPR because it's super interesting and there's a lot to it. But when you're doing it, all you can really think about is just that you are saving this person. And it was very interesting to me.
And about how many students would you say are in the course with you?
So my school's pretty small. My class probably had about 15 to maybe 20.
And were all students learning the same skills, or were you able to select the skills that you were interested in honing as a part of the course?
So our teacher had us learn them all together so we could be able to help each other out with mastering the skills.
What would you describe as your most memorable Teen CERT course experience?
I really loved the final test where Sue brought in actors and we were able to practice treating them in real life situations. And it really just helped me gain a bigger picture on what I am doing in CERT and how to help people because I got to practice it in real life.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience of practicing it in real life?
So she had us start with a practice earthquake where we had to get all of our materials and go meet out in the field to where we could plan what we were going to be doing. And she came out to talk to us and we had to head into the school together to make sure we got all of the missing students out. And they were and all the actors were in the library with certain medical problems, I would say. And we had to help treat them to get them out. And it was nice because we had to go back to the first steps we learned and practice them on the students.
Wow, that sounds very exciting. And following that exercise, did you have an after action review or an opportunity to talk about, some of the lessons that you learned or things that you discovered during that scenario-based activity?
Yes, we did it 3 times. We did our activity, and after each round, we had a debrief of just things that we did good, things that we could improve on for the next one, just to help us get better each time.
What would you say, if someone asked you, why is it important for schools and school districts to involve students in efforts to build emergency operations plans?
I think it's important for schools to have this class because it helps build awareness in situations and it helps you feel prepared. With living on the coast with the big tsunami that could possibly come at any time now, it has helped me feel super secure that I can help people around me if they have gotten hurt in the tsunami, and that I can just help myself know what is going on. Also, you get CPR certified, so that helps me possibly get a job in the future, knowing that if something happens around me, I can help them. And it just brings more awareness.
So it sounds like you were able to develop some hard skills, but also just build your own personal emergency preparedness. What advice would you offer to students in other schools who would like to get more involved in safety efforts?
I would tell them to do it. And if they don't have a CERT program at their school, to honestly talk to their teachers or their principal about getting one. Because as a student, I do get very paranoid hearing about this tsunami, or I get very scared of like sights of blood. But now that I know how to help it and I know how to stop it, it has helped me grow as a upcoming student that will graduate soon, that I now know how to help in situations.
And how would you say that having the Teen CERT course be a part of your curriculum has helped to enhance safety within your schools?
I think there's kind of three layers to that. One is it just expands our capacity for in a real catastrophic disaster situation. It creates this cadre of students who are already equipped to be a critical part of the school's emergency response team during those disasters. Those students in those Teen CERT classes, they gain skills like search and rescue and sizing up a situation to determine if it's even really safe to enter a school to do a rescue. They gain these very specific skills that the rest of our school staff, they don't have. So they are a critical part of our emergency response team in a disaster. But they also gain those practical skills, first aid, CPR, fire extinguishers that they can use in any kind of situation, even if it's not a catastrophic disaster. And then the other layer is that these students that take the course, they become much more mindful of safety and emergency preparedness in general. It empowers them. Throughout the teen course, we see marked growth in their maturity and self-awareness. They become so much more responsible and conscientious just in general, and trustworthy citizens in our school. And of course that translates into at home and out in the community too. So it really helps for catastrophic disasters. It helps for daily emergency situations that they might encounter at any time in their lives, as well as just who these teens are becoming as responsible, more mature people and citizens in our community.
Thank you so much for all that you've shared. I know that other school districts throughout the country will find this information valuable as they are looking to either enhance their efforts to involve students or to initiate those efforts. So we appreciate all that you do to support school safety within your district and within your state. We can't thank you enough.
We are so happy now to move into our Q&A session, and I just want to say another sincere thank you to Sue and Allison for joining us today. We will begin answering questions that you have submitted to us, but feel free to continue to send us your questions as they occur to you throughout this Q&A session. Again, you can use the Q&A pod on your screen to send us any questions that you might have. And we'll try to answer as many questions as possible, and we'll answer them in the order in which they appear and as time permits. So I see a question here. Should students be empowered to and have permission to put the building in lockdown, the same as school building staff? And what we recommend is that you sit down with your school court planning team, as well as your community partners, to determine the best approach for in terms of the role that students will have. Of course, if they are going to be given that permission, I think it's important to engage them in training and to kind of talk through, again, with your school core planning team, what that looks like, what protocols and procedures should be integrated around empowering students to do so. And, as you heard with Sue sharing, that, these students support CPR, fire suppression, they're actively trained in these skills. And so I think the same would apply in thinking about school lockdown protocols and procedures. I see another question related to grade levels. Actually, more than one question related to what grade levels are allowed to participate in Teen CERT programs, and someone is specifically asked to whether Lincoln County has integrated this program into their middle schools and what that looks like. And currently, Lincoln County has just integrated that program with high school students. The Teen CERT program is really focused on quote-unquote teens, but I think how you define a teen might vary based on your school or school district. There is a lot of flexibility with how you interpret the Teen CERT program or something similar. So again, we really recommend that you sit down with your school core planning team and your community partners who will support you and serve as those subject matter experts as a part of your Teen CERT program to determine, what's most appropriate within your school or your school district. See another question, how can the curriculum be modified to fit within the school, district, or state? And I think the great thing about Teen CERT is that it is customizable. As you heard Sue share, they did make some adjustments to their Teen CERT program, and they created their own Lincoln County School District-based manual. So it's definitely something that can be modified. And as I've reiterated, I think it's important to really sit down with your school core planning team to determine, the skills that you want students to gain through this program. Whether there are any adjustments that you want to make, whether it's redacting some of those skills that are recommended as a part of the Teen CERT program, or perhaps adding other skills. I think some of it might be based on the community partner support that you have available. As Sue shared, their first responders made it clear based on their location. For example, if you're in a rural community and you might not be able to easily or quickly access first responders, you may want students to gain other skills that first responders might provide support with. So it's definitely something that can be modified based on your needs. And I see another question here. What are some online or in-person trainings that teachers and staff could participate in annually to, gain a better sense of emergency operations plan development and the before, during, and after aspects of prevention, protection, mitigation, response, and recovery? And I just want to share that the REMS-TA Center has a wealth of resources available for teachers and staff, and those are both synchronous and asynchronous training opportunities. We offer both live and virtual trainings by request. So you can go to our site, visit the trainings tab, and view the variety of topics that we offer in those live and virtual training formats, including but not limited to developing a school emergency operations plan, earthquake preparedness, resilience strategies, preventing and addressing adult sexual misconduct, developing a communications and warning annex, and various other topics. And we also offer online courses that look at topics such as working through after-action reviews and reports, recovery, looking at planning for large events, looking at food safety. And we also host what we refer to as a specialized training package on our site that includes a wide variety of topics. And We like about our specialized training packages is that they are self-paced, so it's something that, staff can take on their own, or as a part of, reoccurring professional development activities. And we also have webinars, which you're participating in today. And again, we've been hosting this role-based webinar series, really honing in on the variety of roles that individuals play at the school building and the community level. We are continually developing new training opportunities for the field. So we encourage you, if you have not already, to join our listserv. And so you can do that by visiting the About page of our site. The great thing about that is that you will get up-to-date information on any new trainings that we are developing. And we always welcome your feedback on those trainings as well. I see another question here. What is the possible liability for school districts in terms of harm or injury? Are students considered good Samaritans if parental permission is provided? Definitely say, related to possible liability, it's important to involve your legal counsel in any conversations, related to the development of new training, but also as it relates specifically to involving students. It's going to be important to, again, have those conversations with your legal counsel, have those conversations with your school core planning team, and, to have some goals, objectives, and courses of action outlined related to how you will manage any possible liability. And we definitely recommend, and I know Sue would second this, getting that parental consent for student involvement in activities, again, with the Teen Cert program that was integrated in Lincoln County School District. It is a part of the curriculum, so it is a course that a student can sign up for. In some cases, students don't necessarily need their parents' permission to join a course, but that might be a requirement that you add as a part of any curriculum that is developed. But also in thinking about extracurricular activities, again, getting that parental consent, having those consent forms, accessible and ready to go if you need them. And I see another question here just related to involving parents and families and caregivers in school safety efforts and in thinking about students as well. And I just like to say that parents, guardians, caregivers, and family members all play a key role, as well as students. And it's important to remember that parents and families are often advocating not just for the safety and well-being of the child or the children they have enrolled in school, but also for the school and members of the whole school community. So insight from families and parents can really help education agencies identify gaps in school safety services and capacity levels and ensure that EOPs reflect the needs of the whole school community. And when engaging parents and families and caregivers and guardians in planning, we recommend that you provide a clear mechanism for them to communicate directly with education agency leaders. And the same goes for students. Encourage them to attend school safety forums and trainings, request their input on issues related to school safety via surveys, school climate surveys, for example. You can create parent camps or workshops during which parents and families can share their voice with school leaders, school safety planning teams, and community partners. I just think overall it's important to reinforce their role as key school safety partners by inviting them to join school safety planning teams and by discussing the potential role that you'd like to have students play in the before, during, and after aspects of planning, and communicate with them regularly and continually regarding any changes to the EOPs that you're developing or creating, request their input on portions of the plan, and also request their input on ways that students should or should not be involved in school safety efforts. Those parents and families are going to be key partners in thinking about not only overall school safety, but thinking about the involvement of students in these efforts. And I see another question here. Is Lincoln County School District willing to act as a resource for schools and districts to create their own Teen Cert program? And what I would say is that, we can definitely hear from the REMCA Center, connect, anyone who's interested in learning more about the efforts that Sue and her team underwent to integrate this program. Feel free to send us an email at info@remcacenter.org if you're interested in being connected. But I'd also just like to turn everyone to FEMA. We did share a link to the Teen Cert program via the Files pod that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, and they are going to be great partners as well in thinking about how you might integrate Teen Cert and or modify Teen Cert for your own school or school district purposes. And when you visit their site, you will see resources that they offer, including a resource on launching and maintaining a Teen Cert program. They also offer a Teen Cert Annex that can be used in collaboration with the Standard Cert Train the Trainer course. So there are a wealth of resources available to provide support to you as you consider the value and the benefits of adding a Teen Cert program to your school or school district. We've also provided a variety of links via the Files pod. Again, feel free to download those. They offer additional insight not only on the Teen Cert program, but also just efforts to engage students in emergency preparedness and planning efforts. So thank you, everyone, so much for submitting questions. We shared the resources that we have available via the Files pod, but we do want to highlight just a few resources from the REMCA Center that may be used by school safety leaders, planning team members, community partners, and other individuals who have an interest in or role in engaging students in school emergency management planning. First, we have a comprehensive fact sheet on this very topic with details on engaging students before, during, and after emergencies, as well as integrating students in the 6-step planning process that is outlined in the Guide for Developing High-Quality School EOPs, and that really looks at how you can work with your community partners and your school core planning team to create and maintain high-quality school EOPs. We also have a fact sheet on integrating youth preparedness into educational initiatives and a dedicated webpage with information on the CERT program that Allison described earlier. Finally, we have an additional fact sheet on integrating students with disabilities and other special needs into school emergency management, which contains unique considerations for improving the preparedness capacity of students with any special needs and disabilities. And as always, please know that the REMCA Center, we are also a resource. We are only an email or a phone call away. Please reach out to us if you have any technical assistance requests on any aspect of emergency management planning, and you can reach out to us via phone, email, or social media. We've provided all of those contact details on the screen. Again, we appreciate all that you all do to support school safety, and we're happy to be a resource for you in whatever way you need. So thank you so much for attending today's webinar. We hope that you learned something. We thank you also for submitting your questions and engaging with us throughout the event. The REMCA Center appreciates your participation, and we hope to see you at another upcoming webinar and to hear from you in the future. Thank you so much for joining.